Good morning, everyone. Have you ever felt completely lost, unsure what you're doing, where you're going, or even who you are? Maybe you're at a crossroads in your career, struggling in a relationship, or just feeling stuck in life. If you've ever been there, or if you're there right now, I want you to know something. You are not alone. We tend to believe that clarity is something we find, as if one day everything will just click and we'll suddenly know exactly what to do. But that's not how clarity works. Clarity doesn't come from waiting, overthinking, or trying to predict the future. Clarity comes from action. We often believe that clarity is something we need to figure out before taking action. We sit, we think, we analyze, and we wait for the perfect moment when everything will make sense. We tell ourselves that once we have clarity, we'll know exactly what to do next. But in reality, clarity doesn't come from excessive thinking. It comes from movement. It comes from doing, experiencing, and learning along the way. When we overthink, we become trapped in a cycle of doubt and hesitation. We weigh every possible outcome, every risk, every what-if scenario, and before we know it, we've talked ourselves out of taking any action at all. The irony is that the more we try to figure things out by thinking alone, the more lost we feel. We convince ourselves that if we just spend more time analyzing, the right path will reveal itself. But clarity doesn't work that way. Think about learning how to ride a bike. No amount of reading about it, watching videos, or hearing advice from experts can replace the experience of actually getting on the bike and pedaling. You can study the mechanics, understand the theory, and know exactly how to balance. But until you take that first push, you'll never truly feel what it's like to ride. And yes, at first you might wobble, you might fall, but with every attempt you learn, you adjust, you improve. That's how clarity works. The same principle applies to life decisions. Whether it's choosing a career path, starting a new project, or making a major life change, waiting until you feel 100% certain before taking action is a mistake. Because certainty doesn't come first. You gain certainty after you take action. Consider a time in your life when you were unsure about something, but you moved forward anyway. Maybe it was a job you weren't sure was the right fit, a relationship that started with hesitation, or a new city you moved to without knowing if you'd love it, and yet through action you gained clarity. Either you discovered that it was indeed the right choice, or you learned valuable lessons that guided you towards something better. In both cases, clarity didn't come from thinking, it came from doing. Overthinking, on the other hand, keeps us stuck. It's like trying to steer a parked car. No matter how much you turn the wheel, you're not going anywhere, but once you put the car in motion, even if it's in the wrong direction, you can course correct. Movement creates momentum, and momentum leads to clarity. Sometimes we hesitate to take action because we're afraid of making the wrong choice. We fear failure. We fear wasting time. But the real waste is staying in the same place, paralyzed by indecision. Action, even imperfect action, provides feedback. It gives us new information, new experiences, and new insights that we wouldn't have gained otherwise. The key is to start small. If you're unsure about your career path, take a course, shadow someone in the field, or start a side project. If you're questioning a relationship, have an honest conversation. Spend intentional time together or take a break to reflect. If you feel lost in life, change one habit, explore one new interest, or take one step outside your comfort zone. Every action, no matter how small, brings you closer to clarity. In the end, clarity is not something you wait for, it's something you create. It doesn't come from sitting still and hoping for a revelation. It comes from engaging with life, experimenting, and trusting that each step forward will lead you to the answers you seek. So stop overthinking, start moving, and let clarity find you along the way. Many people search for a clear step-by-step plan for life, expecting a perfect roadmap that will lead them straight to success and fulfillment. They want certainty before they begin, a detailed guide that tells them exactly where to go and what to do at every turn. But life doesn't work that way. There is no map that guarantees the perfect route, no set path that applies to everyone. Instead, what we have is a compass, our why. It doesn't give us every answer up front, but it always points us in the right direction. Your why is the deeper reason behind what you do. It's the purpose that drives you, the belief that fuels your actions, the meaning behind your decisions. Unlike a map, which provides exact roads and destinations, a compass simply gives you a direction. This is important because in life we often encounter unexpected detours, obstacles, and choices we never anticipated. If we rely too much on a rigid plan, we can feel lost the moment something doesn't go as expected. But if we trust our why, we can navigate through uncertainty with confidence. Think about successful people. Entrepreneurs, artists, leaders, change makers. Most of them didn't have a perfect plan when they started. They had a vision, a purpose, a strong why, and they followed it. They adapted, they learned, and they kept moving in the direction that aligned with their purpose. That's what made the difference. It wasn't a flawless plan, it was the ability to stay true to their why even when the path was unclear. Imagine you're standing at a crossroads, unsure which path to take. If you only look for a map, you might freeze, waiting for a perfect answer that will never come. But if you have a compass, your why, you can at least start moving in the right direction. It may not always be a straight line, and you might need to adjust along the way, but as long as you're guided by purpose, you'll always be heading somewhere meaningful. One reason people struggle to find clarity is that they expect life to be predictable. But life is unpredictable. Plans change, circumstances shift, unexpected opportunities arise. And when they do, a strict roadmap can make us feel stuck because we become too focused on following a set plan rather than adapting to new possibilities. However, when we use our why as a compass, we can embrace change while staying true to what matters most to us. For example, imagine someone who wants to help people and make a difference. If they treat their career like a map, they might think, I need to become a doctor because that's how I can help people. But what if they later realize that medicine isn't the right fit for them? If they're too attached to the idea of a fixed plan, they might feel lost. But if they see their purpose as their compass, they might recognize that there are many ways to help people. Through teaching, counseling, social work, or even entrepreneurship. The method can change, but the direction stays the same. Finding your why is about asking the right questions. What do you care about? What excites you? What problems do you want to solve? What impact do you want to have? The answers to these questions will help you identify your direction, even if the exact path isn't clear yet. In the end, life isn't about following a rigid plan. It's about staying true to your purpose. Your why won't give you every step in advance, but it will always point you toward what matters most. And as long as you keep moving in that direction, you will find your way, no matter how uncertain the journey may seem. Feeling confused can be frustrating. It can make you feel stuck, uncertain, and even question your abilities. But what if confusion wasn't something to fear? What if it was actually a sign that you're growing? Too often we associate confusion with failure, as if not knowing the answer means we are doing something wrong. In reality, confusion is a natural and necessary part of growth. It means you are stepping outside your comfort zone, challenging your old ways of thinking and expanding your perspective. Growth doesn't happen in certainty. When everything feels clear and easy, it usually means we're operating within what we already know. We're repeating patterns, staying within familiar territory, and relying on past knowledge. There's nothing wrong with this, but it doesn't push us forward. Real growth happens when we step into the unknown, when we take on challenges that force us to stretch beyond what we're used to. And whenever we do that, confusion is inevitable. Think about learning a new skill, whether it's playing an instrument, learning a language, or starting a new job. The beginning always feels difficult. There's too much information, too many moving parts, and nothing quite makes sense. But over time, as you practice and keep going, things start to click. What once felt overwhelming eventually becomes second nature. That initial confusion wasn't a sign that you were incapable, it was proof that your brain was rewiring itself, forming new connections and building the foundation for future mastery. The same applies to personal growth. If you've ever questioned your purpose, felt unsure about your next steps, or struggled with a major life decision, you know how uncomfortable that uncertainty can be. But here's the truth. People who never experience confusion are often the ones who aren't growing. They stick to what they know, avoid new challenges, and resist change. On the other hand, those who embrace confusion, who lean into the discomfort instead of running from it, are the ones who evolve. One of the biggest mistakes we make is expecting clarity to come first. We assume that once we have all the answers, then we'll be ready to take action. But clarity doesn't come before action, it comes from action. The more you experiment, explore, and engage with life, the more things start to make sense. Every step you take, even if it's in the wrong direction, teaches you something valuable. This is why the most successful people are often the ones who are willing to be uncomfortable. They don't wait for perfect certainty before moving forward. They make decisions, try new things, and learn as they go. They understand that confusion is a temporary state, but the growth that comes from it lasts forever. So how do you navigate confusion when you're in the middle of it? First, reframe it. Instead of seeing it as a problem, see it as a signal that you're on the edge of something new. Second, take small actions. You don't need to have everything figured out. Just take the next step. Third, trust the process. Growth isn't always linear, and sometimes clarity only comes after you've moved through uncertainty. In the end, confusion isn't something to avoid, it's something to embrace. It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. The more you lean into it, the more you'll discover about yourself, your abilities, and the endless possibilities ahead. If you're confused right now, take it as a sign that you're evolving, you are growing, and that means you're exactly where you need to be. We are conditioned to believe that life is about finding the right answers. From a young age, we are taught that success comes from knowing the correct response, following the right path, and making the right choices. But in reality, true progress doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from asking the right questions. The problem with searching for the right answer is that it assumes there is only one correct path, one perfect solution, one single truth that will solve everything. But life isn't a math equation with a single answer. It's complex, ever-changing, and deeply personal. What works for one person may not work for another. What made sense yesterday may not make sense today. If we spend all our time looking for the one correct answer, we risk missing out on opportunities, insights, and possibilities that could shape a more meaningful path. Instead of asking, what is the right thing to do, try asking, what excites me? Instead of wondering, what's the perfect career choice, ask, what problem do I want to solve? Instead of questioning, what's the safest decision, consider, what decision will challenge me to grow? The right questions open doors, while the search for one correct answer often keeps us stuck. The most innovative thinkers, leaders, and change makers throughout history didn't succeed because they had all the answers. They succeeded because they asked better questions. They weren't afraid to challenge assumptions, rethink old beliefs, and explore new perspectives. They understood that answers are temporary, but the right questions fuel lifelong discovery. Think about a time when you felt lost, uncertain, or stuck. Maybe you were trying to figure out your next career move, struggling with a personal decision, or questioning your sense of purpose. If you were only focused on finding the perfect answer, you probably felt overwhelmed. But when you shifted your mindset and started asking different questions, ones that led to curiosity, exploration, and possibility, things started to shift. This is because questions shape the way we see the world. A limiting question leads to limiting beliefs. If you ask yourself, why am I not good enough? Your brain will come up with reasons to confirm that belief. But if you ask, how can I improve and grow? Your brain will start searching for solutions. The questions you ask determine the answers you find. This principle applies to every area of life. In business, the best companies don't just ask, how can we make more money? They ask, how can we create more value? In relationships, instead of asking, how can I get more from this person? A better question is, how can I give more and build a stronger connection? Asking better questions requires us to embrace uncertainty. It means accepting that we don't need to have everything figured out before we move forward. It also requires a mindset shift from seeking finality to seeking growth. If you're asking the right questions, you'll never run out of things to learn, explore, and create. So the next time you find yourself searching for the right answer, pause and ask yourself, am I asking the right question? Because the quality of your life isn't determined by how many answers you have. It's shaped by the depth, curiosity, and courage of the questions you're willing to ask. The people we surround ourselves with have a profound impact on the way we think, what we believe is possible, and ultimately the direction our lives take. Whether we realize it or not, our mindset, ambitions, and perspectives are constantly shaped by those in our environment. If we want to grow, evolve, and reach our full potential, we must be intentional about the people we choose to keep close. There is a saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This doesn't just apply to habits or lifestyle choices. It applies to your vision for what's possible in your life. When you surround yourself with people who think big, challenge you, and encourage you to aim higher, your own vision expands. You start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You begin to believe in your own potential in ways you never did before. On the other hand, if you are constantly surrounded by people who doubt, limit, or discourage you, their mindset starts to influence yours. It's not necessarily because they mean harm. Many times, people place limits on others because they've placed limits on themselves. They project their own fears, insecurities, and small thinking onto those around them. And if you're not careful, you can start to internalize those limitations as your own. Think about the conversations you have with the people closest to you. Do they inspire you? Do they push you to think beyond what you already know? Do they encourage you to take risks, grow, and step outside your comfort zone? Or do they reinforce fear, self-doubt, and stagnation? The right people won't just support your current vision, they will help expand it. They will challenge you to think bigger, to dream beyond what you thought was possible. They won't let you settle for mediocrity because they see the potential in you, sometimes even before you see it yourself. These are the people who ask, why not you, when you doubt your abilities. They remind you of your strengths when you forget them. They hold you accountable to the person you want to become. Finding these people requires intention. It means seeking out mentors, friends, and colleagues who embody the qualities you aspire to develop. It means surrounding yourself with individuals who are not just successful in the traditional sense, but who are also driven, growth-oriented, and purpose-driven. These people may not always tell you what you want to hear, but they will always tell you what you need to hear. Sometimes, surrounding yourself with the right people also means making the difficult decision to distance yourself from relationships that no longer serve your growth. This doesn't mean cutting people off entirely, but it does mean recognizing when certain relationships are holding you back. If someone is constantly discouraging you, dismissing your dreams, or feeding you negativity, you have to ask yourself, is this relationship helping me become the person I want to be? The people who expand your vision are those who show you what's possible through their own actions. They lead by example. They live with purpose. They take bold risks and pursue meaningful goals. And by being around them, you begin to adopt the same mindset. At the end of the day, your environment shapes you. If you want to elevate your life, start by elevating the people around you. Choose relationships that challenge you, inspire you, and push you to grow. Because when you surround yourself with people who expand your vision, you will begin to see possibilities you never imagined before. And more importantly, you will believe in your ability to achieve them. One of the biggest pressures we put on ourselves is the expectation that we should have everything figured out. We believe that by a certain age, we should know exactly what we're doing, have a clear plan for the future, and be on a direct path to success and fulfillment. But the truth is, no one has it all figured out, not completely, not all the time. And that's okay. Giving yourself permission to not have all the answers is one of the most freeing things you can do. The idea that we need to have everything mapped out creates unnecessary stress. It makes us feel like we're falling behind if we don't have a perfect career, the right relationship, or a clear sense of purpose. But life isn't meant to be a straight, predictable path. It's meant to be an evolving journey, one where we learn, adapt, and discover things along the way. If you're feeling uncertain right now, that's not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you're in the process of growth. The reality is that even the most successful people don't have all the answers. They didn't start with a perfect plan. They figured things out by taking action, making mistakes, and learning as they went. If you wait until you feel completely certain before making a move, you'll stay stuck. Clarity comes from action, not from waiting. The more you allow yourself to explore, experiment, and take imperfect steps, the more you'll discover what truly matters to you. We often compare our journey to others, especially in the age of social media. We see people who appear to have their lives perfectly put together, and we assume they've figured it all out. But what we don't see is the uncertainty, the setbacks, and the moments of doubt they've experienced along the way. Everyone is navigating their own struggles, even if they don't show it. The difference between those who move forward and those who remain stuck is not that one group has all the answers, it's that the first group is willing to move forward without having all the answers. Another important thing to remember is that you are allowed to change your mind. Just because you chose one path doesn't mean you have to stay on it forever. Just because something made sense to you a year ago doesn't mean it has to make sense to you now. Life is about growth, and growth often means outgrowing certain plans, ideas, and even identities. Give yourself permission to pivot, to explore, and to shift direction when needed. Not having it all figured out also allows you to remain open to unexpected opportunities. When we become too rigid in our thinking, we close ourselves off to possibilities that could lead to something even better than what we originally envisioned. Some of the best opportunities in life come from uncertainty, from being willing to step into the unknown and see where it leads. So if you're feeling lost, confused, or unsure about your next step, take a deep breath and remind yourself, you don't need to have it all figured out right now. Trust that clarity will come in time. Keep moving forward, even if it's one small step at a time. Learn as you go. Embrace the journey rather than obsessing over the destination. At the end of the day, life isn't about having a perfect plan. It's about being open, adaptable, and willing to grow. The sooner you give yourself permission to not have it all figured out, the sooner you'll find peace in the uncertainty. And ironically, that's when things start to fall into place.